BAYOU Time Sports is brought to you by Terrebonne General Health System's Community Sports Institute in conjunction with Barker Honda.
Hello and welcome to this edition of BAYOU Time Sports. I'm your host, Keith Whiteside. Thank you so much for joining us. And listen, I got to tell you guys, I don't get starstruck too often. But when I get to meet somebody who has spent a lifetime making a difference in multiple levels of football, he's my kind of guy. I am excited to welcome to the program Carl Johnson, who was the sideline official for the Super Bowl. But the man, Carl Johnson from Thibodaux, Louisiana, welcome to the program.
Keith, thanks for having me. Happy to be here. I'm a member of the community. I'm just so blessed and fortunate to have worked this past Super Bowl.
Right.
And thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. Well, listen, let's just talk a little bit about growing up in Thibodaux. I mean, you were born and raised right here on the Bayou. Tell us a little bit about you and the family so people can kind of get to know you a little bit.
Yeah, I born and raised here in the Thibodaux area. Went to Thibodaux High School, attended Nicholls State.
Right.
Played football at Thibodaux High School. Football, baseball, ran a little track.
Wow.
And
notice he just said, football, baseball, ran a little track. 3-sport athlete. Yeah, and enjoyed that, right?
I enjoyed it.
Love sports.
Love
sports. What position?
I was a defensive back.
D-back, okay.
And a halfback.
And a halfback.
Back in the 70s, we played
multiple
multiple
y'all just
positions.
did both, right?
Yeah.
Y'all, it was Iron Man. Y'all had to play both sides
yeah.
of the ball.
That's right. Right. And I always had a passion for sports.
Right.
Loved it. Enjoyed it. I thought I was going to be this hotshot football player.
Right.
But
we all thought that, right? When we played ball.
That. But when I got to Nicholls, they had a bunch of guys that were 180 pounds that could run fast. So Coach Clemens back in the day said, hey, you need to stick with baseball.
Okay.
I've got about 12 guys like you. So broke my heart.
Right.
But I'm glad he was honest with me.
Right.
So
kind of close that window, that smaller window, but opened a much bigger door.
Opened a much bigger door. But my passion remained with football.
Okay.
And I asked myself, how can I stay close to the game of football? Couldn't play it anymore. Mm-hmm. I thought about officiating. And, and I got into the local high school chapter and started officiating Pee Wee football back in 1980.
Wow.
And I worked a game at the National Guard Armory.
Okay.
St. Gregory, I believe it was called.
Right.
I was smitten.
Gym.
Yeah, I was smitten, Keith.
Okay.
With those kids running around. And so I asked the guy who was in charge, I said, how can I do more of this? He said, join the chapter, the Home of Terrebonne officiating chapter. And I joined the following year, and the rest is history, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I think I know who that was when you asked that person.
Yes.
Because I played ball with him and refereed some with him. For me, I did something. I called baseball, and it gave me a different perspective on the game. I didn't play much baseball. I'm a little shorty and squatty. Played a little softball, and I enjoyed softball, but officiating baseball gave me a different perspective of the game. So I guess I asked this question. So when you going from football, coming from a 3-star athlete at Thibodaux football, because you were outstanding athlete there, right? Football, baseball, and track.
I'll take that.
Okay.
I'll take that.
I'm just telling you what I heard, because when I heard you were coming on, I started asking questions.
Yes.
And so just finding out a little bit about that, did your perspective change a little bit from when things changed for you about not playing football, then that perspective of officiating football? Did it give you a different perspective on the game?
It did, Keith. Going from playing a game to managing a game. Football is a game that's filled with emotion, from coaches, from players, parents, fans. So as a game official, we have to remain calm at all times, no matter what. Stay at the same level, and just manage the football game. When you're playing, you have ups and downs. As an official, you can't have that.
It's a different level of emotional intelligence.
Yes.
It's a term that we've used now here in the last few years. They didn't use it much in the 70s and 80s.
Right.
But that term, and you bring up a really good point, being self-aware of your own emotions, you've got to stay even-keeled, right?
Yes. From one play to the next, as we talked off air about when we kick a call. We don't get every call right. I'll tell you right now, we miss calls.
Right.
But when we miss those calls, we have to somehow stop the tape from rolling. Right. There's another play coming. Because if not, that last call that you miss is going to beat you on the next call.
Yeah, they talk about that for quarterbacks, and I'm going to ask you a little bit about the 2 quarterbacks that you got to spend a lot of time watching play.
Sure.
2 former SEC quarterbacks who met in the Super Bowl. We're going to talk about that a little bit later.
Okay.
But it's interesting because they talk about the fact that when you throw a pick, you better have some short-term memory loss.
Right.
You need to be able to let that go. The one thing, if you started out in Pee Wee football, that doesn't get let go are the parents.
Yes.
And so how interesting, have you seen just, and we're going to talk about this in the next segment, a maturation some of just both the kids and as you rose at the different levels of officiating, how the parents were a little different?
Yes, Keith. Parents, please forgive me, but the most challenging level of officiating was Pee Wee football.
Oh, yeah. There's no doubt in my mind. And that's why I asked the question.
Yes.
It was a leading question because I knew the
Yes.
answer. Yeah.
Because at that time in those kids' career, every parent thinks their kid is going to play in the National Football League.
Oh, every one of them is going to be an outstanding whatever position they're in.
Yes, and you know I think the data is less than 1% of kids who play high school football will make it to the NFL.
Right,
And
that's high school.
That's high school.
Yeah, and so we multiply that times 3 or 4 for Pee Wee, right?
Yeah,
for the kids that only probably 25% of those Pee Wee players making it to the junior high and high school level.
Exactly.
So we're talking, a
just
quarter of that
minuscule.
1%
Yes.
are ever going to make it.
Yes.
And it's just, the parents and the kids, sometimes it takes a little bit away from the kids having fun for the parents who just think that they got an all-star on their hands and
Right.
you need to somehow treat my child with more respect because he needs to get that call because he's my all-star.
That's right,
That's
Keith.
my baby. That's my
right,
all-star.
Keith. Yes.
Yeah. And so it's some really interesting dynamic, but I'm glad it changed a little bit for you. I wanted to find out a little bit about you because I want to figure out a little bit about your perspective, but I also kind of want to find about how that changed. We talked about the challenges of what it's like to referee Pee Wee football. And so tell me how long you kind of did that before you were able to kind of take the next step in refereeing.
I worked 1 year of Pee Wee football.
Okay.
And I joined the local association in Terrebonne.
Right, like it
Terrebonne
was
chapter.
recommended.
Yes, they recommended.
Right.
And then from that point, we worked junior high ball.
Okay.
And I worked high school ball.
Okay.
And
so you did both of those kind of at the same time?
Yes. We worked junior high ball during the week, Wednesdays, Thursday nights,
Right.
and high school ball on Fridays.
On Friday night.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me what the training is like for that.
Yeah, we have meetings once a week on
Okay.
Mondays.
Okay.
That has changed over the years,
Right.
locations, but we meet every week to go over rules, mechanics, and
Mm-hmm.
things like that. Because when we come in, we're green.
Yeah.
That's our first time.
Right.
Most of us played sports.
Right.
But to manage sports, to manage football,
Right.
we need to learn the rules, the
Right.
mechanics, where to stand, what to look at.
Right.
And we didn't know any of that. But
Right.
the Thibodeau Association does a terrific job of
Yes.
training new officials. And,
So they really laid the groundwork for you.
yes, they laid the groundwork for me.
Okay.
Yes. And
But you also, but I know there's got to be an individual ability to absorb that and be able to take that to the next level and manage. It's a great perspective. I love the words that you use. I love the verbiage, going from playing a game to managing a game. Because as the official, you got to manage everything. You got to know the rules. You got to be able to manage the coaches. You got to be able to make sure you're managing the players, and you got to manage the stands at the same time.
yes.
It's a lot to take in.
It's a lot to take in, but it's all fun.
Okay.
It's a fun ride because
nice.
they don't give you everything. I mean, they meaning when you're training.
Right.
You take that training, you take it home, you read that rule book, you study.
Yeah.
I watch tape, watch football on television.
Okay.
Watch how these guys move. As a young official,
Right.
I would pick out a position where I was working. I said, "What's this individual doing? What is he looking at?" Then I got connected as I moved to the high school level. I drug chains at Nichols. We call it on the chain gang.
Chain gang.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
We call it dragging chains.
Absolutely.
So that was a great opportunity for me, Keith, because
Okay.
I was next to a collegiate official, and I would be in that person's ear, asking them questions. Hey,
Wow.
how do I do this? What are you looking at?
Wow.
At halftime, I would ask them if I could sit in with them just to hear them.
Wow.
And all that was good stuff, all that knowledge I was absorbing.
Wow.
And they took a liking to me because I drug trains for about 8 years.
So wow.
Yeah.
So you did that at Nichols for 8 years.
At Nichols for 8 years, and I would get this information and learn.
Right.
And
What year did you start that? Do you remember?
I started, I want to say 84, from 84 to probably 91.
We shared the
92.
sidelines together.
We did. Okay.
Well, I was a cheerleader.
All right.
On that same sideline.
Okay.
Passionate about football, but also
Yes.
passionate about my job as a cheerleader at Nichols State
Really?
University. Yes, sir.
Okay.
So when you were dragging chains, learning what you could, I was in school trying to make sure I kept all the girls safe.
Wow, excellent.
The really beautiful girls safe.
Yes, yes.
So it's really interesting that and that's why when we got reintroduced to each other, I'm like, I know you. Mm-hmm. And the reason I feel like I know you is because we shared, I've seen you.
Yes.
And so seeing you on the sideline is a comfortable thing. Mm-hmm. And you progressed to that. So 8 years doing that, and you were refereeing high school and junior high and high school. And you got to know the difference between Wednesday and Thursday and Friday, because there's some rules that are different.
Well, not
for
really.
Junior high.
Yeah,
okay.
No, they're pretty much the same
very,
rules.
very similar. Okay.
The talent level is different.
I know that's
game's
right.
A little bit faster.
And that's just one of those things, right? That's what everybody talks about, moving from college to NFL.
Yes.
Faster.
Yeah, we don't talk about that. Hopefully.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yes.
And so did that for a number of years now, right? Mm-hmm. So let's talk about when you went to the next level.
When I went to the next level. So by speaking with these collegiate officials, I asked them, hey, how can I get to do that?
How do I get in your shoes?
How to get that? See, I've been working high school ball for 12 years now. How can I get to do that? So they gave me phone numbers, names to write letters to. And I wrote letters for 4 years. I didn't know what happened, Keith. I thought the mailman dropped my letter.
Like writing a letter to Santa Claus.
Yeah,
Where's it really going?
Didn't hear anything back. Then out of the blue, I got a response saying, we're interested in you. We're going to observe you at a scrimmage. I got invited to a scrimmage at Nicholls State. And
that was your tryout.
That was my tryout. And
wow.
The person liked what he saw. He's deceased now. His name was Mr. Jim Blackwood. I can use his name. He passed away. He got me started. He hired me. And there's a running story. He tells the story of how he hired me.
Okay.
I was always a deep official.
Okay.
Which means I was a back judge.
Yeah. Gotcha.
He called me and said, hey, Carl, I have an opening for a line judge.
Okay.
I never worked line judge before.
Okay.
I didn't tell him that, though.
Yeah, I know that's right.
That was my opportunity. Come on, Keith.
Right. I'm not saying
I'm
no.
not going to say anything. No,
but you spent time on the chain gang for 8 years.
Behind the line.
Behind the line judge. Yes. And you learned before you even knew that was going to be your next step.
Right.
That's fantastic.
So I accepted his offer, and I immediately found a college rule book. And I started studying mechanics of the wing guy.
Okay, yeah, because you on the line.
Yeah, I was gonna be a wing guy. I had never worked wing before.
Okay, and so so even you're on the line judge, but you're the wing guy is what it's called.
Yeah, that's what it's called, a wing. Yeah,
so instead of a deep, you're the wing guy.
Short wing, yes.
Okay, you're the short wing guy.
Short wing.
All right.
Guy. Yeah, short in stature as well as on the field. Yes.
Well, that's all right. You can hide from some coaches that way a little bit more easily.
No, you can't hide from them. They'll find you. There's
no way to hide, right?
No, Keith.
And so I love it, Carl, telling me a little about how you've gotten to that level. And we got to college. Mm-hmm. I'm excited about taking a short break because I want to fast forward to the glory that you had to have been experiencing and the feeling of being this sideline official for this most recent outstanding Super Bowl. Carl, you were telling us how you got into college and you started officiating college. Now tell me, do you go to a particular division in college, or how do they hire you in college?
Yes, I was hired into the Southland Conference.
Southland Conference.
And which it was a big deal. Because I was out of a big pool of officials. Now I'm in a smaller pool.
Okay.
I'm in small college football.
Okay.
Nicholls State, McNeese State, Northwestern.
Sure.
Those guys. Stephen F. Austin.
Stephen F. Austin.
Yeah,
right.
So I worked that for 2 years. And while I was working college football, the supervisor saw something in me. He says, you need to apply to a bigger conference.
Okay.
So at that point, the Big 12 was forming.
Oh, my.
It was the old Southwest Conference and the Big 8 forming the Big 12. So I got invited to a trial at the University of Texas.
Oh, good Lord.
And,
huge school.
Yeah, and I got there. There were 22 officials trying out. And the guy walked out. He says, I'm looking for 3 officials. I said, okay, no problem. I like those odds. I was pretty confident. So I got selected as one of the 3.
3 out of 22.
Yeah, and I got into the Big 12.
Wow.
And
how long did you do that for?
I did the Big 12 for 5 years.
5 years.
And while I was in the Big 12, very fortunate, I worked Sugar Bowl, National Championship game.
Right.
And I worked Rose Bowl, and I worked 2 Big 12 championship games.
Those are big games.
Yep.
And a lot of people are watching.
Bowl, yes. So,
and then the NFL came.
Yeah, and while I was there, the supervisor again saw something in me. So he put me in touch with the NFL staff.
Right.
They reached out to me and invited me to go to NFL Europe. And I did that for 2 years.
Wow.
And, those were places where, that's where I met Kurt Warner and Jake
Right.
Delhomme, those cats were playing over there.
Those guys that were playing in
Yes. So a lot of good players came from NFL Europe, and it was a training ground for us as officials who were trying to get into the NFL. So I did that for 2 seasons.
2 seasons.
Yes.
And then you got
And then I got the call in 2001 to join the NFL. And
2001. Carl, you don't seem old enough for all the years you just added up. Tell me about, in short, your first NFL game. How exciting was that?
Yes, Keith, my first NFL game, I never forget. It was right after 9/11. It was Arizona, Atlanta, in Arizona.
In Arizona.
It was just after 9/11.
Yeah.
And it was eerie. The plane was empty. I flew over there, on the hotel we stayed in Arizona was empty.
Yeah.
And it was Michael Vick's first game. He was a rookie.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I remember.
Yeah, and things were happening so fast.
And so it really is. The old adage they talk about, if you thought college was fast, wait till you get to the NFL. It's
Things
faster.
happen really, really fast out there, Keith.
Yeah. And that's why they only select so many out of all of these people that referee to be able to do what you do. So, been in the NFL now how long?
I just completed my 21st season.
21st season.
21st season, yeah. 18 on the field, and I worked 3 years at the league office. I was VP of officiating for 3 seasons in New York. Yes.
All right. And so now these playoffs come up. And as fans, because I know you're still a fan too.
Oh, yes.
You see some of the best football with some of the most exciting finishes we've ever seen. We talked about it off air. And then and you called one of those games. So tell us a little bit about that game, because I want to spend the rest of the time talking about the Super Bowl.
Wow. Yeah. Buffalo at Kansas City, divisional game. It's been labeled as the best game perhaps in the history of football.
Wow.
That game had everything. Everything. I mean, it was an emotional roller coaster. I was mentally exhausted when the game was over.
Oh, I'm sure.
When the game was over, I just sat in my locker with my head in my hands, had to decompress.
Wow.
What a football game. Such talent on the field. Everybody's making plays. Just when you think it was over.
Remarkable. Right.
NFL players make plays.
Yeah.
They are terrific athletes, and we just manage the game.
And so now your management team and you're the sideline judge going to the Super Bowl. How was that Super Bowl experience for you as an official?
Yeah, it was my third Super Bowl.
Third Super Bowl, right.
Yes.
Wasn't your first. I knew it was your
It's my
first.
third Super Bowl, but Keith, it never gets old. And when I got the phone call that I was going to be the line judge in Super Bowl 56, what a day that was.
See, people get excited about different things, but man, what a call, right?
What a call. I mean,
wow.
The fire still burns.
Because you just came off of that remarkable game,
yes,
right?
Yes. And now
you get to do the Super Bowl.
Reset and get ready for Super Bowl.
Okay.
And
what was the environment like?
It was
there at SoFi.
SoFi Stadium is a palace.
Okay.
I mean,
it's beautiful.
That's what you can get for $3.5 billion. But it was a fantastic setting.
Right.
People were so nice. Stadium full. The vibe was there. Electric.
Yep.
The movie stars everywhere.
Sure.
And let me tell you, Ron Torbert, our crew chief, had us prepared.
Okay.
We were ready to go.
Y'all were ready for that game. Well,
we were ready.
Like I told you when we first talked, outstanding game as officiating. It was outstanding. And that game, for anybody that watched it, was fought and won on the line of scrimmage that you were calling.
Yes. The game was won in the trenches.
It really was. It was one of those very low-scoring games. Just everything was so very tight and close, and you had this great view doing your job, managing the game. We got a minute left. Tell us about just your refereeing experience and what the Super Bowl meant to you and how you felt after it was done.
Yeah. First of all, when you receive a Super Bowl assignment, you know that you were with 6 of the other best officials in the National Football League.
Right.
All your hard work, your dedication, your mental prep, your physical prep, it all culminated into a Super Bowl. So it's very rewarding to have that. Yeah. And I'm very happy. And I was on a terrific crew.
Right.
In this 2021 season.
Yeah.
And they helped me get to the Super Bowl. You don't do it by yourself. When that final whistle blew at the end of the Super Bowl, we knew that the players decided that game, not us. And that's what we want.
That's kind of the goal, right?
That's the goal.
What a great way to finish.
Yes.
And so, Carl, I appreciate your time
and
sharing that, man. This is just such a great story, and I know that people will really enjoy that. We're very proud that one of our own has done what you have done through the rankings, putting the time in, sharing your knowledge and your love to manage that game for so many people. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right. That's a little bit from Carl Johnson, and that's going to do it for us here at BAYOU Time Sports. Don't go anywhere. A lot more local programming when we continue.